Hi everyone, I'm Dion Schuddeboom, and today we're going to be looking at Apple's silicone case for the iPhone 13 in midnight. Now, these cases have become the go-to for many, and it's easy to understand why. After all, these cases are made by Apple, well, for Apple. Now, these cases have some neat features, but they are not cheap, coming in at $49. So the question is, are they worth it? And that's exactly what we're going to be answering today. Alright, so starting things off, let's take a look at the unboxing. Now, right off the bat, we have very familiar, classic Apple, simple and clean packaging, with a picture of the case on the front and a green pull tab on the back to open. Inside is where we will find the case, as well as some warranty paperwork, and immediately I can already tell that this case is different from last year's black model, but I'll get more into the color later in the video. Pulling the case off its cardboard holder reveals the instructions for how to apply the case to your phone, and here it is. Let's take a closer look. Okay, so here it is, the midnight case. Now, of course, I went for midnight. As you know, I typically like the darker colors, and what color would be better to match with my midnight iPhone 13? Now, if you've been watching some of my other videos, you will know that I typically use Apple's leather case. I've done this on previous iPhones as well as on my current iPhone 13. I've done a separate video on this case. I'll be sure to leave that linked below if you haven't seen it already. And let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a comparison video in which I compare both of Apple's cases, as I think these are both really good cases in their own right, but I do think that these are each for a different user. So depending on your style and what you want to get out of the case, one may be better over the other. Alright, so before I put the phone on the case here, I just want to draw your attention to the interior of these cases. Now, we have this nice microfiber lined interior that we've come to see on other Apple cases as well, and this is something I really like. Now, the reason for that is if you take your case on and off your phone regularly, this layer here will serve as an extra layer of protection, protecting your phone from those micro scratches that can occur when you get dust or debris stuck in between your case and the phone over time. Alright, let's go ahead and install the case on the phone here. Now, what I'm going to do is, just as the box instructed here, we're going to place it in almost like a book and then lock it into place. And there we had that MagSafe animation on screen. I said this before, I always find this a neat little feature. Is it necessary? No, but it's just cool to know that your phone has detected the case. Now, I definitely have to push it around a little bit around the corners to make sure it is properly snapped into place. This is definitely a tight fit, and this is good because this means your case is not likely to fall off if, say, you ever drop your phone. Now, first impressions holding the case in the hand here, it feels good. I've used Apple silicone cases before, several years ago, and I must say that this actually feels a little bit different. The silicone feels softer to the touch, not as grippy or rubbery. As that was actually one of the things that I didn't like so much about the previous silicone cases, as they were quite difficult to take in and out of your pockets, especially if you have more slim-fitting pants. Now with this, I actually don't think that will be an issue, as it is more softer, again, to the touch. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the case's design as well as its features. Now, first of all is, of course, that midnight color, and as you would expect, it pairs perfectly with my midnight iPhone 13. Now, I've said this before and I will say it again, I am really a big fan of this year's midnight color, both on the iPhone 13 as well as on the Apple Watch. Be sure to check out my review of the Series 7 if you haven't already. Now, the reason I really like this year's midnight color is because it sets itself apart from the usual plain black cases that we see all too many of, while at the same time still being subtle and understated, looking very sharp. Not to mention that because the silicone cases are quite dark, they actually pair well, in my opinion, with all iPhone 13 colors, and best of course with the midnight as well as the starlight and product red phones. Now, this is by no means a thin case, but all things considered, I think it actually adds only minimal bulk to the phone and retains a relatively slim profile. Also, in terms of fingerprints, I found the case has held up really well, barely showing any. And ones that do show can easily be rubbed away with, say, a microfiber cloth, even your t-shirt. And if you really need to, you can of course also use a damp cloth, as this material, unlike the leather, will not get damaged. And in terms of protection, we get raised edges both by the screen as well as the camera. So this means that when you place your phone down on a surface, such as the table here, the screen or the camera will not make contact with that surface, again providing that additional layer of protection. Now it's also worth mentioning that I have a screen protector on my phone, and despite that, the screen protector still won't make contact with the table, so the raised edges are raised far enough. Now, one little thing that did stand out to me compared to also older versions of this case is because the camera module on the iPhone 13 is definitely quite big, especially on the iPhone 13 Pros. And because of that, they have had to make the camera bump, the camera edge just a little bit bigger. So as a result, your phone will slightly rock on the table, as you can see and probably hear when you are typing. Now this is by no means the end of the world, but is something worth noting. Of course, as you'd come to expect, the cases are also fully compatible with MagSafe as well as wireless chargers. Now, taking a look at the buttons on the case here, you can see that they are also made out of silicone, the same as the case itself, but are actually highlighted in a slightly more dark color, actually matching the Apple logo on the back of the case, and this is presumably also to set them apart and make them easier to find. Now, since they are covered in silicone, you do lose a little bit of that tactile click when you press the button. Now, as you can hear, they are still clicky enough to a point where you will still feel that click and you won't have to worry, oh, have I pressed the button or not? But compared to, for example, the leather case, which has those aluminum buttons, the clicks are a little bit more mushy. Taking a look at the bottom of the case here, you can see that this is now entirely closed, and we get very precise cutouts for the speaker, microphone, and the lightning port. Though the cutout for the lightning port is generous enough to where I would expect most third-party accessories to still function as normal. Now, this is an area where the case sets itself apart or is different from some of the previous year's models, in which the bottom of the case was actually left open. Having this closed now will provide full 360-degree protection when it comes to all sides of the phone, so this is a good thing to see. Now, I've been using this case on my iPhone 13 for the past 3 weeks, and as I would expect, it still looks like new. Now, in terms of long-term durability, this is something that we'll have to wait and see, but based on what I'm seeing so far, I wouldn't be worried. The layer of silicone going around the case will provide some impact protection if, say, you drop your phone from a short to medium height drop, but it is important to remember that Apple's cases, both the silicone as well as the leather case, aren't made to protect your phone from any severe damage, such as high falls or any really tough impacts. Instead, they're meant to protect more from regular day-to-day wear and scuffs. Alright, so this all sounds good, and there's a lot of good things to say about this silicone case. So the question is, are there any cons? And yes, there is one, and that would be the price. Coming in at $49, these cases are quite expensive, especially when you think about what you're paying for. There is no premium material such as aluminum or leather, so for what it is, the price is quite steep. If you're looking for something that is purely functional just to protect your phone from day-to-day wear, you can find far more affordable alternatives on Amazon, for example. What you get with these silicone cases from Apple is a case that is well made and that will fit your phone perfectly, and also comes in a range of colors. Not to mention some nice included features such as MagSafe and of course that microfibre interior. If you're already in the Apple Store and you've just bought your new iPhone and are looking for a case to pair and don't mind spending just a little bit extra, you will not be disappointed with these silicone cases from Apple. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please leave them down below and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching and take care.